This video we're going to talk about having a milk cow. Does it fit for our homestead? Does it not? And also I'm going to share some of our experience having milk goats. Welcome to Family Homesteading of West Texas. We are a homeschooling homesteading family of 9. We grow, cook, and preserve most of our food from scratch. Hello. So I'm going to share a little bit of history of how we came to about getting a dairy cow. About 20 months ago, my husband and I decided that we wanted to get a dairy cow. We have had dairy goats in the past, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that a little bit later. But we decided to get a dairy cow. So we ended up getting a heifer. She was bred at the time, but was still going to be about 8 months till she would calf, and so that we could milk her. We got her 8 months later. She birthed a beautiful heifer, and we were able to milk her. Do you have a dairy cow on your homestead? So a milk cow can have lots of benefits to the family and the homestead. Fresh milk and cream sounds delicious. Let's just go over some of our things that we really like and some of the things that we struggle a little bit with having a milk cow. So first of all, we really like the fresh milk and cream that we have all the time. We can have fresh butter at all times if we take the time to do that, which isn't really that much work, and it's amazing. We can always have cheese, which is brilliant. Yogurt, cottage cheese, sour cream. The list is endless that you could do with dairy. You get to choose what you're feeding your cow. If you want grass-fed dairy, you feed your cow grass, and that's what we are currently doing. It is a little bit of a struggle since we don't have a lot of acreage. We get to build a relationship with our dairy cow, and she, of course, provides us with a lot of good groceries for the family. Her offspring could be raised for beef for the family. We get to teach our children how to take care of an animal that provides such an important part of our groceries. Plus, they learn how to make all these unique dairy products. Having a milk cow provides us with lots of organic matter and compost to use in the garden or on the pasture, which makes for very rich soil and very happy plants, and therefore lots of good produce out of the garden. So let's talk about some of the things that we struggle a little bit more with having a milk cow. We have to be committed. We have to be very dedicated because she needs to be milked every day at the same time. We can't call in sick. So rain or shine, we are there to take care of her. And if we're not there, we're making sure that we have somebody who is going to take care of her. So number 2 is if she produces more milk than our family can consume, there's a decision to make. What are we going to do with the extra milk? Are we going to sell it? Some states would allow it, some not. Are we going to give it to the animals like the pigs and chickens? Or are we going to process it to make some yummy dairy product? Cheese, butter, yogurt, all those things. It's very doable, but it is a lot of work, and we have to just make that decision. Do we have the time for that? Which most of the time we do that. The next thing is a cow is a large animal and it consumes a lot of feed. And we don't have a couple of acres of pasture, so our feed bill runs up quite fast. And it's also important for a cow to have shade and shelter. She needs shade during the hot season and she needs shelter in the windy, colder season. But our biggest struggle is the breeding back thing. So let's talk about that for a bit. It is recommended that a cow gets bred back 3 to 6 months after freshening. In order to do that, you'll need to have a bull, which now you have a second large animal on your homestead. And if you don't have quite a few acres like we don't have, that would add to the feed bill. That would basically double it. And that might sound like a problem. We have also looked into the option of artificial insemination, which if you have an AI tech in your area is probably a way better idea than owning a bull for only 1 milk cow. But unfortunately in our area, we don't have any AI techs. We have looked high and low, we just can't find anybody. So that's not an option for us. But we still own a dairy cow, and we're still dedicated to own it and milk it for our family. You don't have to breed her back, but we won't get an offspring off of her if we don't breed her back. She will still produce milk. Her production will definitely decrease over time, which it has for sure. We have milked our cow now for almost 15 months without breeding her back, and she still gives us just over a gallon on a once-a-day milking. Another option out there is leasing a bull, but you will have to bring the bull to you because the dairy cow needs to be milked every day, which would probably be a hassle if she's in a pasture with a bull in a strange place. So another thing that's important if you own a dairy cow, to keep a clean, dry area for her to lie down. If you keep her in a small area, it's important to frequently add fresh bedding or straw to the area. Clean water is also important, which can prevent diseases. So with all that being said, do I regret getting a dairy cow on less than a couple of acres to roam on? No, I don't. I'm dedicated to make it work. We have this mini bull that we got some time ago, and he might be too short for a full-grown cow to breed her, but our plans are that he'll be able to breed Muffin, which is our main dairy cow's baby from last year, and that should happen next month. And we're hoping that opportunities will open up next spring to breed Gretchen, our main dairy cow. Now, for someone who just doesn't have a setup or just can't support a large animal like a cow, you can still have fresh milk. Yes, there are other options, like a dairy goat. We have had dairy goats in the past, and we liked it. There's not that struggle that you have way too much milk because they produce less. Goats are much smaller, and they require not nearly as big of an area, and they don't eat as much feed. They're much cheaper to purchase, and probably it's easier to get a male to get your female bred back. You can still have fresh milk, probably not as much, but then like I say, you don't have to worry about the extra milk. You could also make cheese and butter and yogurt and all these great things from goat's milk. You probably need to invest in a cream separator if you're going that route. Goat's milk seem to take longer, or it's a little bit harder for the cream and the milk to separate naturally. Versus in cow's milk, if you let the milk stand for 24 hours, you'll have that definite line, that cream line. So what kind of pen or structure do you need to keep a goat in? That's the thing where we struggle when we still kept goats. So if you have gardens like we do, we don't want them roaming around the whole yard because they could definitely ruin the garden or damage it for sure. Since a goat is a smaller animal, it's not that hard to get shade or shelter for a goat. What we did is we used IBC totes, so we would just cut the bottom off and then cut a hole into it like a door, and voila, it was done. The structure is completed. What's complicated with goats is to build a fence to keep them in. In my experience, you'll have to have either a solid fence or a chain-link fence that's at least 5 feet high. We used electric netting that was 50 inches high. They wouldn't stay in. So it's a little bit harder to keep goats in. In our experience, it's hard to deal with. That's why we don't own goats anymore. Cows are so much easier to keep in. But that was our decision to make, and what will work for your family or your homestead is your decision to make. So no, we do not regret getting a milk cow. Even though we're struggling to get her bred back, we're still just going to go with what we have and what we can. We will wait for opportunities to open, and eventually we'll have more acreage if all goes well, and we'll probably get a bull. If you like this video, consider hitting that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Bye.